Greeting everybody, Yann here from Utah Trike. Welcome to our Trike tutorial. Today we're going to talk about how to swap a tire, either that you need to change a flat tube or you're putting new tires on your Trike. So here our Trike. For this video we're going to use a cat Trike Dumont and we're going to start with the front wheel. So what I love about Trike is to replace the tire or the flat on the front wheel, you don't need to remove your front wheel. So what you're going to need is tire levers, and because here we work at a fast pace, I like to use a valve core remover, which helps me if I'm just changing the tire, deflate the tube faster. Of course, you don't need it if you have a flat tire. All right, so first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna come and bring our valve up here, remove the valve cap, and remove the little lock nut. If you have shredder, you will just have a valve cap. So for those who don't know, the shredder is the valve that's bigger, that look like a car valve. The Presta is the one you need to unscrew a little bit and you push on it to release air. All right, so now it's done. Either you can unscrew this and push. I'm gonna use my valve core remover here just to go faster. There we go. Now the first thing I like to do is to push the bead out. Those days tires are really tight on the rim and sometimes they get stuck a little bit. If it's a tubeless tire, it's designed to stick to the rim. So the first thing is I push the tire like this to make sure that it's not stuck on the rim. When I'm done, I'm going to start at the opposite way of the valve. So right here, I'm going to grab my tire lever, look like a little scoop. You want this little concave face to go like this in the tire to scoop it out. So push the tire, you're going to slide it under the first, what we call the sidewall, and you're just going to bring it out like this. Now, something I love about those, you grab the wheel, careful with your hands, and you're going to just push and turn the wheel at the same time, and the tire is going to pop out pretty easily most of the time. Your first side is up. Grab your tube. All right, pull it. At the top, move the tire out and pull your tube out. Now I did that, I'm going to hold the rim. Grab the tire, I'm going to pull up and out. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pulling up, out, like I want to rip the tire. When you're putting up, since there's no tube, it's going to be some room, and look at that. That's it. So from now, if you have a flat tire, before you put back the tire on and the new tube, first thing you do is you want to check your tire, make sure there's no godhead or any type of piece of glass or anything that will be creating another flat. One thing I like to do is either with your tire lever or carefully with your hand, is put it in and kind of scratch the inside of the tire. If there's something, you don't break. So you're not putting it back and getting another. If you don't have anything like that, just carefully touch the inside of the tire with your finger. And when you find the goat head or whatever is in, extract it with your hands. Or if you're at home, a little tweezer or even like a needle nose plier. The other thing you want to check is your rim strip. The rim strip is what's sitting inside here. Make sure it's not damaged. I've seen rim strip damage where basically the hole for the nipples and the spoke is exposed. So the tube, when you inflate it, gets stuck in it and explode. All right, ready to put it back? So grab your new tires. First thing you want to look at is the rotation. Tires are designed to roll a certain way, like a car or motorcycle tire, all right? So if you look at those threads, basically it helps shed the water, all right? And it helps with grips. So you should have a rotation arrow on the side, just look for it. Another tip, professional tip, use your label here and put it where the valve stem is gonna be. It looks better first, and most important, when you look for your valve stem after, you just gotta find the label. It's easier and faster to find. So my valve stem hole on the rim is there. The label is here. I'm gonna first put one side of the wall on it. So I'm gonna insert the beginning of it, and I'm gonna work around to push the first part of the sidewall. All right. Since I didn't remove the wheel, what I do is I turn the wheel as I'm pushing it, so it's easier. Up, and that's it. The first part is on. Second part, you're gonna put your tube back in. So here we got two different schools. Some people like to put the tube with no air in. I like to inflate it a teeny bit, okay, just to put shape to the tube. One way or the other will work, as long as when you put the second sidewall, part of the sidewall, you make sure you're not pinching your tube. So here, I'm gonna start by putting the valve into the hole. All right, I push the valve all the way in, I grab the tire, and I make it go over. So now we got this part hanging. I like to grab my tube, and I'm just gonna put it in the tire like this. All right. Now, really important, you're gonna start working the tube into the rim, but you're not gonna put the sidewall first. So first, start by pushing like this for the tube to come sit inside the rim. All right, here it's not really hanging, but if there were hair in the tube, you will see that the tube will kind of lock in place and your tire will sit against the rim. That's when it's important. Don't start putting your tire at anywhere over than where the valve is. That's where you need to be starting. So you're gonna grab the tire, and right where the valve is, you're gonna bring the sidewall in like this, and it should start sitting nicely in there. From there, I'm gonna work with both thumbs around the rim. So I'm gonna go like this, and what I do is I kind of push it in like this, but at the same time I'm putting pressure, like I'm trying to pull the tire down like this, and so that gives me some slack. And as you can see, as I'm going, the tire popping. Now here's the thing, you should never use a tire lever when you put back a tire, because that's the best way to pinch your tube. But sometimes the tires are so tight due to tolerances between the rim and the tire that you need to use one. If you're gonna use one at the end, or you don't have the strength to push the tire, be really careful. Try to use the plastic one. Those, I use personally the Pedros, they're my favorites. They slide pretty easily, and make sure to not pinch your tube when you put the tire back. When it's done, you just, if you remove your valve core, put back your valve core. And at this point, I like to inflate my tire first. When the tire is inflated, so talking about inflation, same thing as the rotation arrow, you will have a minimum. Sometimes they don't put the minimum, but for sure you will have the max PSI you can inflate the tube to. Okay, it's different with each tire depending on the size, the width, the whatever the brand is. So always double check that. What I like to do with those Presta valve, I don't put back the little nut before I inflated it. Reason why is I've seen people putting back the nut, tightening it too much, and when you inflate it to the max PSI, it rips the stem from the tube. So I always inflate my tires. When it's to the right pressure, I use the little lock nut and put it on. And same thing, you don't need to put a plier to it, just finger tight, and that's it. Don't forget, if you have the Presta, to tie back the valve stem. And to finish, put your little valve cap. And that's it. Now we're going to move on to the rear wheel, okay, which is going to have a few more steps, but will basically be the same. All right, so here on the Dumont, we have a through axle. So let me turn that around to show you. So the through axle means here I'm going to need a wrench. All right, actually I'm going to need an X wrench. Before we get to that, a few things you need to do to make it easier. First thing you want to do, pedal and shift your derailleur all the way to the highest gear. Which, if you're not sure about this, the best way to remember highest gear, lowest gear, think about your cassette, put it flat with the biggest part at the bottom. It looks like a mountain going up. Highest point, which is your hardest gear, lowest point, which is your easiest gear. So we're gonna pedal it, shift it to the smallest bracket, which is your highest gear. Careful, don't put your finger in there. Gently stop the wheel. And now, if you have a cat track, you should have a SRAM derailleur. Those have a locking system that make the wheel easier to remove. The way that works, right here you see this little lock. You need to push the cage forward. You're gonna push the little lock button, keep it pushed and slowly release the cage, and it's gonna lock your cage. So now everything is loose. It's going to make it easier. If you don't have this feature because you have a different brand of derailleur, all you got to do is when you're going to remove the wheel, do the same thing. Push the cage as the wheel comes down to help open this part and the chain to come off the cassette. All right, so here I want to turn the trike this way. I'm going to use, if I remember well, this one is a 6mm X wrench. So grab your X wrench, put it here and unscrew it. I always keep one hand at the wheel, okay, just to secure the wheel. I don't want the wheel to just drop on me. So you unscrew all the way and you should just have to pull the axle out like this. Now the wheel is released. I hold the wheel and I just help it go down. I grab my derailleur and I kind of move it backward a little bit. And you see, it came out really easy. All right. Now, we're going to proceed the same way as the front wheel. Whoop. Remove your valve cap. Remove the little nut. I use my valve cord remover. It's just so satisfying because all the hair just come out at once. All right, so back here, same thing, wheel is flat. I'm gonna push the sidewall to unlock them. All right, I'm gonna grab my tire lever, opposite way of the valve. That's the way I like to do it. That's the way I've been doing it for 15 years plus. And usually that's the way it worked the best for me. So, here we go. Grab the tire. And same thing, careful your knuckle. Start pushing like this, and the tire is going to come off. All right. Get the tube on the opposite side of the valve. Pull it out. Bring it up. Move the tire out of the way. Take off your tube. Now, push down on the rim. Up on the tire. Up. I forgot to push the sidewall out of this side. And let's listen to it. We're going to hear it pop. Did you hear that? Okay, so now push down on the rim, pull up on the tire, and you kind of rip it off like this. And that's it. You got your tire off. Now, same as the front, check the tire if you're fixing a flat. Make sure your rim strip is clean, that nothing is in there. When you're done, you're gonna grab your tire. Same thing one more time. Rotation. So here you can really see this arrow you don't want to miss. And usually right there, you got your max pressure. So minimum pressure here is 55 psi, maximum is 85. Meaning under 55 psi, you might get a pinch flat. Over 85, the tube's gonna blow because it's too much pressure. And I'm telling you, that blow pretty heavy when you blow a tube because you overinflated it. And rotation. Make sure when you rotate, remember your freewheel, your cassette, is on the right side. So look at it this way. That's the right side, what we call the drivetrain side. Find your label. Find the valve stem hole here. Label here. And same thing, match it. One thing people sometimes ask, is there a side that's better to put the tire back? To be honest with you, doing that all day long, I always go the opposite side of the drivetrain. The reason why is all the grease from the chain is going to be here. Sometimes if a tire is hard to push, I might use it like this and I just put grease all over my nice shirt. So I'm trying to avoid that, keep me out of trouble at home. So I like to work from this side. Now, one thing, if you're going to work from this side and you have a disc brake, be aware that the rudder, you're not supposed to touch it with your fingers or anything like that. You don't want to put any oil or stuff. So be careful. Same thing if you remove your front wheel to change your tire. Be careful with those rudder. Don't push on them, you might bend them, or don't put any type of oil or even the oil from your finger. We mess them up and they can squeal and not work as well. All right, so I'm gonna work from here. So my tire is gonna have to be this way. Okay, label up. So I'm gonna put the one side first, like we did in the front. And when I'm there, I like to bring it on the other side, and like I did the first time. What I like about the rear wheel is you can literally put it like this, and the wheel against the bench, and stuck it against your belly. So it helps you kind of push this tire in. Those are pretty nice and easy to put on. Now we did this, I'm going to grab my new tube, or the tube you had if it's not flat. I'm going to push here. Well, let's do it this way. All right, valve stem in the hole. I'm going to bring the tire over it. And now I'm just going to push the tube in there. All right, here we go. Now I kind of push the tire down. And same thing as earlier. I'm going to start at the valve. With my thumb, I'm just going to bring the tire in, and I'm going to start pushing down. So here's one of the things of the movement. You don't just try to press down. You kind of push down, but roll with your thumb like this. That's what we call the tire bead here. So you roll this tire bead over the rim. So if you look, I'm not doing just this. My wrist go like this. Okay. Now I'm at the end. I'm going to reuse this technique here. And I'm just going to go like this. And here you can see it's a little bit harder. All right, a little bit tighter. Come back here and kind of push the tire like this direction to try to get as much slack as you can. And as I'm doing that, you're going to see the bead is getting easier. And I'm going to keep rolling. And look at this. That's it. One more time. Let me show you one thing. If you don't have the strength, okay, so you get here. Let's say you don't have the strength to do this. You can use your tire lever, but really carefully. I like to kind of look, put one here, put one here, and I kind of, there's no tension now, so we don't, and I kind of bring in here, hold this one like this, and bring this one in. You're going to want to do a little bit at the time. not too much or you might break the tire lever. And you see, as I'm going, just leave this one like this, a little bit at the time, and you go like this. And eventually, when you get there, you should be able to roll it over. And maybe not in this, here we go, like this. Okay, so our tire is back on. I'm gonna pull it this way, make sure I pull it the right way. Everything looks good. One more time, if you remove the valve core, put back your valve core. Inflate the tube. Okay, when it's inflated, put back the little lock nut on the valve. All right, and the valve hole. When all is done, now we're gonna reinstall the wheel onto the trike. I can move my derailleur, all right? I wanna put this top chain on the first gear here. And remember what I told you? Here's the mountain. Lowest point, highest point. Low gear, high gear. I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna put the chain on the first bracket like this. I'm gonna bring the wheel up. I'm keeping the derailleur back out of the way, and I'm gonna bring it right here in the dropout. This is what we call the dropout. Now it's here. I like to put my hand here and hold the wheel. Grab your axle and insert it on the other side. You might have to wiggle it a little bit. Push it all the way, and one more time, wiggle a little bit until you can feel the thread. And now you want to tighten it. So here, if you have a torque wrench, this is 10 Newton meter, all right? If you don't have a torque wrench, 10 Newton meter is not that much. So I will say, when you feel it's in contact, grab the wrench, put it either straight or at an angle that you can kind of imagine, and about, here we go, about a quarter turn. Add a quarter turn like this, and that's it. When it's all done, at the bottom of the derailleur, you push this forward, you're gonna hear a click. That's the lock that can open, and slowly release the derailleur. And that's it. All right, so this was our video on how to remove your tires and put them back on. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any further question, feel free to email us at trikes@utahtrike.com. I hope you like our new space. Our team did an amazing work to get, the perfect space to make the best video possible to help you out there. And so I hope my accent wasn't too rough on you. Get used to it because we're coming up with more trike tutorial videos. So have a great day and see you next time.